Hi everyone, so this is legitimately going to be a race against the clock because this video is going to be super long. I know it is because when I wrote the post, it was super duper long. So let's start out by defining exactly what world building is. So this element of storytelling is used by writers to develop a unique place in which their story can occur. It can be simple, like a modern fantasy with unique animals, or extremely detailed, developing an entire ecology, drafting maps, constructing religions, or developing a history for that world's people. Creating a world is a huge undertaking. There's many things to consider. So I'm going to go over some broad topics of things that you should consider doing, and then some basic do's and don'ts of world building. First off, let me state that this is not a process video. I'm a firm believer that it is impossible for every writer to use the exact same process for world building. Each world is originally inspired by one unique idea, so it makes sense that each writer's process is going to be different from person to person. If the unique animals are what originally inspired your world, then you might start off more focused on the ecology of things, and you might not even ever get to developing a government if that's not necessary to your story. If the politics were your inspiration, then you'd obviously start more with the government side of things. Now, to allow you to be completely thorough with your world building, I have created my own guide, and it's kind of a list of questions, and to be honest, it's too extensive. Most people, myself included, will not use all parts of this, so you can just cross out or just leave blank all the things that you're not going to use or that aren't really relevant to your story. Just like some of your character profile sheets, you might not need to write down every single thing about your world, but my general rule of thumb is if it's something that I don't think I'm going to remember in 5 years when I've hopped around to different stories that I'm writing and not stayed within the series, then you should write it down if you're not going to remember it. If it's basic and you're going to remember it, then you don't need to write it down unless you want to, whatever. So let's go over some big things that nearly everyone should consider, depending on how detailed your world is, of course. Number one, the people. They're kind of like the most important thing, right? Or animals, whatever is the main subject of your story. So what are they like in each region of your world? Are they different? Are they all the same? Are they monoethnic? Are they different ethnicities? If your story takes place in an urban fantasy setting, then all of your characters might look different because there are different races in our world, and maybe they're just from all over the world. Is there a single style of clothing that everybody wears? Is there specific styles? Is there specific jargon or slang that each culture uses? If your world is big at all, then you're gonna have to consider what the climate does to each region of the world. So in the north, is it super sunny? Is it desert? Is it dry? Is it humid? In the south, is it tropical? The other way around. You might not think that's important at first, but when you get thinking about it, those people from hot tropical climates are probably going to be more tanned, while those from forest regions might be paler, but they're also going to be more limber because maybe they have to climb trees to get away from predators or something. So the climate and the environment that your characters live in directly has an impact on how they develop as a culture and how they just end up looking, I'm pale. I'm like northern person. I can't do sun. So you're already starting to get the idea of how this branches out pretty quickly. You just keep asking questions about your world and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Number two is language. Yes, this kind of falls under the previous category, but it's such a fun topic to cover and it's a really great way to add some unique flair to your novel. Yes, making your own language can be a huge undertaking, but you don't need a word-for-word translation into your imaginary language. So one particular region in your world might use more harsh language, more syllables than vowels. Think Norse for this one, mainly just because I'm knee-deep in Viking right now and I'm really loving it. Or the language in a different region could be more fluid like French. Just study these languages and the unique letter combinations that make them sound so different from one another. So a good tip is to develop 1 or 2 rules for the language of each region and then just make sure you're consistent with those. I know you guys love examples of languages and it's a very popular question that I get, how to develop your own language. I am going to be making a video about this, specifically all about languages, coming up soon. So if you have any specific concerns, be sure to comment down below or you can tweet me on Twitter. Duh, that's where people tweet. But anyway, here are some examples. One of your cultures could use double letters a lot, like double vowels or double consonants a lot, like AA or UU instead of just using one. The pronunciation of them might sound the same, but when a reader is actually going over and reading it, it can sound more unique and it can sound more culturally dissimilar from our own language. So my favorite tip to tell people when they want to develop their own language or just develop their own cities or specific words is to take a word in your own language that you really enjoy. Phonetically, it sounds really pleasing to the ear. Take that word and then tweak it. Just change some of the letters, add some, remove some, shorten it, lengthen it. Figure out what part of that word you really like. For an example, I like the word unique. I like that eek part at the end. So what about the word ubique for a city? You just gotta tweak it and play with it and have fun. I literally made that up in like 2 seconds, so don't judge. Number 3, the environment and the ecology. If you haven't been able to tell, I really like that word. That's another word for some language inspiration, ecology. Ecol sounds really good at the beginning, like alcohol. What? So this part of your world building is all about the ecosystems and the plants and the animals, the geography of everything, and then the life cycle of your world. Ecology is directly impacted by the environment, so make sure that your spiked and fire-resistant creatures became that way from the harsh environment that they lived in, because otherwise why would they have developed that way? The same can be said for plants. So if the environment is particularly harsh, if it's really, really cold, if it's really, really hot sometimes, if it's ridiculously hot, like people can't really live there, it's so hot, then the plants might not be edible, or they might be really bitter, or maybe they're better used for medicines. So again, be sure to consider how the environment is going to impact your plants and your animals and your people all together. Number 4, cities and landmarks. You know, I'm in a city, you're in a city, we're all in a city. Your world should have cities, and it should also have landmarks. Think of these 7 wonders of the world, and they all have some historic importance to those landmarks. They all have a story behind them, and this is one of my favorite things to do. I know I've said that in a lot of my videos, that each different phase is my favorite part, but I really, really like making mini stories, like folklore and different things like that to weave into my story. So this is obviously landmarks, that's one of them. If there was a great battle there, then what's the story of the battle, you know, within the confines of your plot. So also think about if there's certain holy sites, and then think about your cities. Most major cities develop near water because that's what we need to survive. If your culture needs something else to survive, make sure that that city sprouts up near that source. It's awesome to seek some inspiration from history. Again, research things and figure out some ancient civilizations whose cities cropped up and are now really big, important capital cities. Number 5, societal concerns. What kind of government does your world have? Has it always been the same form of government, or have there been quite a few? Are there social classes? What professions are there, and what are considered to be respectable, or jobs you don't really want to have? What about everyday social things? Where do people go at night to have a drink and relax? What do they seek for entertainment? What does the people in each region eat? Does one region prefer sweets and the other one prefers these bitter plants or something? Gross. Religion has played a huge part in Earth's history, so maybe it should have some importance in your world too. Just saying. Are there predominant religions? Are there many religions? Has one religion forced itself on the others? Sorry for the 20 questions game. It's just there's so much to cover, and I'm running out of sunlight, so I don't have my free hand. So number 6, that counts as 2, is magic. This is the last big item I wanted to talk about because it's very important. So if you choose to involve magic in your novel, this is an element that could really make or break the popularity of your novel. Your magic system has to make sense. It is so important. Consider things like, how did the magic develop in the first place? So usually if you think about the evolution of things, there is something that spurs a dramatic evolution in a creature. It's usually an environmental concern, like suddenly there's no more oxygen in the air, and then you become capable of breathing nitrogen or something. That's not magic, but you get what I mean. So what pushed magic into existence? Are there limits and boundaries? Yes, there should be. So that was not a rhetorical question, but think about what limits and boundaries your magic system has. What weaknesses does it have? Even if you don't end up spelling all of the rules out in your novel, you as a writer should know all of these rules because it's a magic system. You can't break it. Even though you're the one that made it, once you make it, you can't break it. It's like a pinky promise. So if you want your magic to be believable, don't give your character the specific magic ability that they can shoot laser beams out of their kneecaps just to get them out of a sticky situation in your novel. Your reader needs to know these elements and that, hey, there are some people that can shoot laser beams out of their kneecaps, or that there's a slight possibility of this happening. Like, hey, some people can make lasers, but maybe they don't know where they come from. Introduce it before it becomes a major, event in your plot. Magic is fun, but it can also be dangerous to your story, I mean, like not in real life, So tread carefully, please. Now that we've gone over the broad strokes of world building, let me give you my single biggest tip. Do not make your world the focus of your story. Your world should be where your story takes place. It shouldn't be your entire story. At least at first, if you develop a following and people would read something like an encyclopedia of your world, then that's a totally different story. But for fictional purposes or fiction writing purposes, you don't want to do that. In other words, world building supports the evolution of your story. So please don't think I'm crazy for this next part because I'm about to say something that's kind of crazy. So there's no big difference between a novel that follows the history of, say, England and the rise and fall some of the people that came to power there, and Game of Thrones. Oh, but there's no dragons. There's no, like, you're crazy, Vivien, you're stupid. Oh, yeah, except the world building. They're the same story. Somebody wants the crown, somebody betrays somebody else, somebody kills somebody else, somebody wants revenge because they killed their family. The plot is simple, and where Game of Thrones diverges and makes you want to binge watch every episode is the world building and character development too, but we're talking about world building here.